The 43rd floor smells like recycled air and money. Dale Morn pushes his mop bucket down the corridor at 11:40 on a Tuesday night, and the cleaning solution leaves a wet shine across the marble that cost more per square meter than his old monthly salary. He knows because he priced it. 3 years ago, he sat at a desk 12 meters from this hallway and watched the invoice clear. Back then, his name was on the building's directory, 7th line, Junior Analyst, Corporate Intelligence Division. Now it's on a laminated badge clipped to a gray coverall, D. Morn, Facilities. Nobody looks at the badge. Nobody looks at him at all. That's fine. He stopped needing to be looked at a long time ago. He rounds the corner past the glass wall of the 43rd floor boardroom, and he can see the long table inside, polished to a mirror, the chairs still perfectly aligned from the afternoon's meeting. He cleans this room every Tuesday and Thursday. He knows the exact angle the CFO tilts his chair. He knows which board member leaves coffee rings on the table without using the coasters. He knows the faint scratch in the glass near the northeast corner, which has been there since the night 3 years ago when a 27-year-old analyst slapped a 200-page report down on that table and the conference room erupted in laughter. That was the night Dale Morn learned something no business school teaches: the truth, if nobody believes it, makes no sound at all. He had built the report over 6 months. Transfer records, shell company flows, falsified asset valuations, a fraud architecture worth $4.3 billion buried inside Voss Capital Group's mid-tier subsidiary filings. Clean on the surface. But the numbers, when you pulled the thread, unraveled into something catastrophic. He had pulled every thread. Cross-referenced ledgers, source documents, 3 independent audit trails. Meticulous in the way only someone who cares too much can be. He walked into the boardroom with a printed copy for each of the 11 board members. CEO Harlan Voss had not looked up from his phone. Senior Director Calder Wren, seated at the CEO's right hand, had picked up the report, flipped to the executive summary, read exactly one line, and set it back down. "That's an interesting imagination," he said. The room had laughed, softly, the way people in expensive suits laugh when something is already decided. Harlan Voss had finally looked up then, not at Dale, at Wren, and given the smallest nod. By Friday, Dale's access card was deactivated. By the following Monday, his name had been struck from the building directory. By the end of the month, every firm in the city had received the same quiet note: Dale Morn, released for performance issues. The professional translation was clear to anyone in the industry. His references went cold. His calls went unanswered. He filed 2 formal complaints with the regulatory board, both logged and shelved. He sent the full report to a financial journalist. She called him promising, then went silent after a follow-up email. He engaged a lawyer who lasted 3 weeks before citing conflicts of interest. He tried 8 more channels over the next 2 years. Every single one closed. System, classification active. Unheard instances logged, 1,147. Condition for activation, absolute silencing, achieved. Hidden class detected. Initializing. Dale stops pushing the mop. The words float in the air in front of him, pale blue, perfectly legible, visible only to him. He has seen enough Manhwa to know what a system window looks like. He has never expected to see one in a 43rd floor corridor at 11:40 on a Tuesday. Class designation, sovereign tongue. Classification, above record/unranked/first authority. Function 1, sovereign decree. Every statement spoken by the host under conditions of formal testimony or official record is enforced across all connected systems simultaneously. Truth, once spoken, cannot be altered, expunged, or overwritten. Function 2, ledger seal. Spoken numerical data locks permanently into any financial, legal, or institutional record within range. Figures cannot be amended. Function 3, void statement. A spoken retraction or denial from any opposing party is automatically cross-referenced against the host's sealed record. Contradictions register as void. Activation note: this class has been accumulating since the first dismissed instance. Every time you were not believed, the weight was stored. You now carry 1,147 instances of unheard truth. Spend them. Dale reads the window twice. Then he picks up his mop, finishes the corridor, and goes home. He sleeps better than he has in 3 years. The subpoena arrives on a Thursday morning, slipped under his apartment door in a plain envelope. Federal Financial Crimes Investigation, Voss Capital Group. He is listed as a material witness, not a suspect. The hearing is in 10 days. He is requested to bring any documentation in his possession. He has copies of everything. He kept them on 3 separate drives and a printed archive in a fireproof case under his bed. He had never thrown any of it away. Not because he thought anyone would ever ask. Only because some part of him could not let go of what was true. He irons the one dress shirt he still owns, puts on the trousers that still fit from his analyst days, and clips his facilities badge off his jacket before he leaves the building. He does not need it where he is going. The federal hearing room is smaller than the Voss Capital boardroom. More cameras. More people. The investigative panel sits at the head, 3 federal officers and a lead examiner named Sada Dren, who has the focused expression of someone who has been doing this for 20 years and is very tired of being lied to. Around the edges of the room, Voss Capital's legal team takes up 2 full rows. Harlan Voss sits at the respondent's table in a charcoal suit, a legal team of 6 beside him. Calder Wren is there too, 3rd seat from the left, arms crossed, not looking at anything in particular. Neither of them recognizes Dale when he enters. He takes the witness seat. He sets his folder on the table in front of him. Examiner Dren looks at her notes. Mr. Morn, she says, you filed 2 formal complaints with the Regional Financial Oversight Board in 2022 and 2023, both logged without action. You also attempted to bring documentation to the press and legal representation, without result. Your testimony today may be valuable context, but I want to be transparent. Without corroborating documentation already in the federal record, individual witness testimony carries limited legal weight at this stage of the. I understand, Dale says. His voice is quiet. It has always been quiet. But the moment he speaks, something shifts in the room, not dramatically, not with a flash of light. More like a change in air pressure. Subtle. Like a door somewhere has been opened. Sovereign tongue, active. Sovereign decree, engaged. Recording range, all systems within this building and all federal records connected to this hearing. I understand, he says again, and I'd like to begin with the Voss subsidiary transfer of March 2021. He opens his folder. He begins to speak. He does not raise his voice. He does not use theatrical pauses. He reads from his documentation the same way he built it, methodically, precisely, 1 thread at a time. The March 2021 transfer. The Delmore Holdings shell structure. The valuation discrepancy in the Q3 subsidiary filings, $847 million in assets listed against a company with no registered operations, no employees, and an office address that turns out to be a car park in the outer city. Sovereign decree, statement logged, March 2021 Voss transfer. 847M asset discrepancy. Sealed. Across the room, the lead investigator's assistant looks at her screen, frowns, and leans over to say something to Examiner Dren. Dren's expression does not change, but she sits slightly forward. Dale keeps speaking. He covers the secondary shell layer, the Belcourt Wren Holdings structure, which circles back through 4 jurisdictions to a fund with Calder Wren's wife's name attached as a silent partner. He speaks the figure clearly, $210 million in redirected institutional capital over a period of 31 months. He says the name. He says the number. Ledger seal, 210M. Calder Wren / Belcourt Wren Holdings. Sealed. Federal record amended. Permanent. Calder Wren's arms drop from where they were crossed. His lawyer touches his sleeve and whispers something. Wren looks at him and then looks at the screen the investigators are using, where something has just changed, some figure, some entry, some piece of the record that was not there a moment ago and now is, locked in place, time-stamped with the moment Dale Morn said it aloud. Wren's mouth opens. He starts to say something. Void statement, contradiction detected. Calder Wren, on record denial registered against sealed decree. Cross-referenced. Contradiction confirmed void. Entry updated. Whatever Wren says, the investigator's assistant marks it down and then circles it once, twice, in red. Dale does not look at him. He reaches the 3rd thread, The falsified board approval signatures on the Q4 2022 asset report, the document that Harlan Voss signed personally, certifying that all subsidiary valuations had been independently verified. They had not. Dale states this. He names the audit firm that was supposed to have signed off and didn't. He names the figure on the report. He names the figure in the actual subsidiary record. The difference between them is $1.9 billion. Sovereign Decree, Harlan Voss Q4 2022 certification. Falsified. 1.9b discrepancy. Sealed. Ledger seal, original subsidiary record reinstated. Federal record updated. Permanent. Amendment by any party, blocked. Harlan Voss has been very still since Dale started speaking. He has not moved, not spoken, not consulted with his legal team. He is watching the screen in front of the investigators the way a man watches a wave that has already broken and cannot be recalled. One of his lawyers leans in urgently. Voss does not turn to look at them. His eyes stay fixed on the record as it corrects itself, line by line, number by number, each one locked in place the moment Dale's voice names it. The head of the legal team stands. Examiner Dren, this record modification is irregular, we'd like to flag a procedural. Sit down, Examiner Dren says, without looking away from her screen. We're aware of what's happening to the record. We're not stopping it. The lawyer sits down. Dale turns a page. He goes through the fourth thread, the fifth, the sixth. He is not hurrying. There is no reason to hurry. Each one lands where it lands, locks where it locks, and the room around him gets quieter and quieter, not because people have left, but because there is nothing left to say against what is being said. The Voss Capital legal team has stopped taking notes. They are watching the document feed on the public monitor with the focused attention of people who are doing the math in real time and do not like the answer. By the time Dale reaches the summary, total fraudulent misrepresentation across 6 subsidiaries, over a period of 4 years, approximately $4.3 billion in concealed liability, the room is absolutely still. He closes his folder. That's everything I brought today, he says. I have additional documentation available if needed. Sovereign Decree, Summary Statement. 4.3b Concealed liability, Voss Capital Group subsidiaries. Sealed. Federal record finalized. Permanent. Modification by any party, blocked. Examiner Dren sets her pen down. She looks at Dale for a long moment. Mr. Morn, she says carefully, how long have you had this documentation? 3 years, Dale says. I brought it to the Voss Capital Board first. March 14, 2021. I have the meeting log, my access card entry timestamp, and the email chain from that afternoon. All of it is in the folder. Dren picks her pen back up. She writes something. She underlines it. Across the room, Calder Wren is consulting with his lawyer in a low, urgent voice. His lawyer is slowly shaking his head. The gesture is not encouraging. Harlan Voss has not moved. He has not consulted with anyone. He has not argued. He has not, as far as Dale can see, blinked more than twice in the last 6 minutes. He is looking at the federal record on the screen, the record that now contains every number Dale spoke, every figure Dale named, locked in permanently, the history of the fraud laid out in clean columns that cannot be changed, cannot be denied, cannot be buried under another layer of misdirection, and he has the expression of a man who has built his entire life on the belief that if you control what is heard, you control what is true. He had never considered what would happen if someone's words simply could not be unheard. The hearing runs for another 40 minutes, but the outcome is decided. Examiner Dren asks Dale 6 follow-up questions. He answers all 6. Every answer seals. The Voss Capital legal team objects twice more, both objections are entered into the record and both are flagged as contradicting sealed testimony. By the time Dren calls a recess, the federal monitor shows a preliminary fraud finding, filed automatically, time-stamped, and distributed to the relevant oversight bodies. The room begins to move again, lawyers standing, officials conferring, Wren's team gathering papers with the mechanical efficiency of people trying to appear calm. Dale picks up his folder, slides it into his bag, and stands. He walks toward the door. He passes the respondent's table. He does not slow down. He does not look at Calder Wren, who is on his phone now, speaking in a low and cracking voice. He passes the first row of Voss Capital's legal team, then the second. He reaches the door. He stops. Not because something dramatic is happening. Only because Harlan Voss has finally turned his head. The CEO of Voss Capital Group, the man who had not looked up from his phone when Dale walked into a boardroom with a 200-page report, looks at him now. Fully. The way a man looks when there is nothing left to manage, no calculation left to run, no subordinate to send. Just two people in a room, and one of them is walking away. Dale meets his eyes for exactly 1 second. Then he walks out. The corridor outside the federal building is gray and wide and quiet. His shoes make a clean sound on the tile. He buttons his jacket and takes the stairs down rather than the elevator. Old habit, the elevators at Voss Capital were always crowded after meetings, and he'd learned early to avoid them. He steps outside. The morning air is cold and sharp and very real. He does not have his mop. He does not have his facilities badge. He does not have a job waiting for him on the 43rd floor, or a desk, or a directory listing, or anything anyone in that room would recognize as power. He has his voice. And now, finally, everyone knows what it's worth.